because my number one is Far Cry 3. Great situation again with like Lord of the Rings. Again, we can talk about on the Friday that it's out. That's great. I love being able to do that. Far Cry 3. The reviews are just hit. It got 10 on Eurogamer, a lot of 9s. Yeah, I think it's fucking fantastic. I'm going to talk about some things I don't like about the game, but before I do that, I want to make sure that it's clear that I think it's an amazing, superb game. I really, really do. I think it's awesome. And I just need to talk about some stuff which I've read maybe 6 reviews since they dropped before we started recording, and nobody's mentioned any of this stuff, which says to me that maybe, not that they had to have played Far Cry 2, because you don't. It's not Far Cry 2, but maybe none of these people have played Far Cry 2 to the end, which I don't know many people who have, apart from yourself. They killed Far Cry 2. To me, had 3 systems that weren't in Far Cry 1. Number 1 is fire. Number 2 is the buddy system, and number 3 is enemies that get injured and help each other. Now they've killed the buddy system and the enemies that get injured, and for me, it robs it of 2 of the systems that made 2 phenomenal and brave and created some of the most memorable and truly like awe-inspiring moments I've ever had in a shooter. The combination of those 2 things, and in its place, they've made it much, much more accessible, almost playable in some ways game. It still has all that open stealth / action, breaching on camps and that classic Far Cry gameplay where you scope out the camp from afar, you work out how you're going to approach it, you dive in, take one guy out, disable the alarms, all that sort of stuff. It's still got the fire, which is superb, and it has a bunch more systems as well. It has animals, which are done brilliantly, and I'll talk a little bit more about them in a minute. But I have to say, robbing the games of those 2 systems does it makes me still love Far Cry 2 more, even though I know in so many ways that this is a better game, and it's a better game because it's got rid of those checkpoints that everybody hated. It's got a lot more to do in the world. It's easy, fast travel. It's just there's crafting in it. It's a much more accessible game, definitely. But those are my problems with it. But there's, it is awesome. It is awesome. So what I had to do when I was playing, after a few hours, I had to tell myself, this isn't Far Cry 2, and you can't review this game. I've written a review which is going to be in a print magazine in Play. You can't review this game on what it isn't. You have to review it on what it is. And so I had to quickly cast that stuff out of my mind. I had to accept after a few hours when it didn't appear, that isn't in this game. This is the game that they've made. So and when I started doing that, I started enjoying it a lot more. What is slightly strange is the story-based stuff, which features amazingly animated. They're not cutscenes really, because they're all in-engine and in view. So
COD does that a lot as well, and Half-Life, all of the cutscenes are in the game.
Yeah. These are so well acted and animated. They must have used performance capture, and the main bad guy, Vass, is just... He's got to be the best bad guy in games. He's just got to be. He's so good, so creepy, twisted, sociopathic, but like intriguing. And as I said about Menendez, this guy's more so. When he's on screen, you just captivate. You want him to be on screen. You want him to be in the game, but it also creates an enemy that you genuinely dislike, including all the baddies in the game. There's a good reason to hate them, basically. And most of the stuff that they do in the narrative is good. Unfortunately, some of the main missions of the game throw away the kind of openness of Far Cry, and they're more like standard shooter missions. And they're disappointing, but there's so much other stuff to do outside the main story that is pure Far Cry gameplay, more so than main missions. So all that stuff's in there. Brilliant game. I could talk about it for ages.
I've avoided almost everything. I didn't know there was animals in it until you said that.
Sorry.
It's fine. It's fine. I'll probably forget before I play it, know me. But I've had a holiday day off work held hostage for when I get this, because Far Cry 2 is just the more I think about it, the more I think it was one of the best games I've ever played. And it's in my all-time top 5 or top 3 or whatever, because that's one of the only games of that length, of that scope, of that type that I played from beginning to end twice, more or less in rapid succession. and just I can't wait for this. I'm reluctant to comment on anything you said because I don't want you to elaborate on it.
Send that. My final comment on it, I'd say, is if you've never played Far Cry 2, you're going to love it, no doubt. If you've played Far Cry 2 and you're a huge Far Cry 2 fan, you may be slightly disappointed by things in it, but you'll still probably love it. And if you hated Far Cry 2 and you want Far Cry 2 to be a game that it isn't, you'll love Far Cry 3, because that is what the game is. It is the game that all the people that wanted Far Cry 2 to be the game that Far Cry 2 isn't, that's what Far Cry 3 is. That was a sentence that was probably quite confusing, but hopefully I got my point.
Yeah, you did. I can't wait. I absolutely cannot wait. And seeing the Eurogamer 10 and like a few 9s and stuff floating around, I mean, I have a feeling that I'm going to. It's one of those games I'm just going to get fucking lost in it, and I can't wait.
Yeah, it's great, mate. It's great, but yeah, it would be interesting. What I really want to do is hear someone, yourself being the prime example of this, someone who loves Far Cry 2, their opinion, because I haven't. None of the reviews have been that guy yet. So I can totally understand all the stuff about Far Cry 2 that people don't like. It's so like it makes total sense to me, but I was able to look past all of that stuff and see the gleam.
Yeah, me too.
All that stuff's been smoothed off so nicely now. It's a much more complete and accessible game in so many ways.
Yeah, I saw it at E3, not E3 just gone, the one before, when that Ubisoft showed it for the first time, and I was just like, they showed us a cutscene and a bit of gameplay. I was like, I cannot fucking wait, and just it's so nice to know that. I knew they were going to fucking deliver, and Ubisoft, if Edge magazine do that those awards, if they don't give best publisher to Ubisoft, they're on fucking crack. I swear to God.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't played Assassins, so I can't really comment on that. But
will you ever?
Maybe. I wrote in my review that I think Ubisoft's the bravest publisher of the big publishers.
Yeah, that's why I can't wait.